Hi guys, welcome to OB Dave Reacts. I am Ash and this is OB Dave. We are very, very tired from staying up to watch the Super Bowl. I loved every second of it, but then I will embarrassingly admit, when one of the teams seemed to be winning and it was only like 1 minute 53, I was like, well, nothing can change here. And I fell asleep next to Dave, who slept pretty much the whole way through. And then I woke up to see a different result and was like, oh no, good thing for catch-up TV.
I was in the pub all day with my bro and my dad, and we drank all day and then smoked a cigar just before I left. Came back, cracked a beer open, cooked some chicken wings, some buffalo wings for us, and some loaded nachos. And basically stayed awake long enough to drink about a beer and a half, eat a load of food, and then try and watch some of the game. And I could see that I was watching it out of one eye for quite a while, and I was like... And then I don't remember anything. I don't even remember going to bed.
You don't?
No, I don't remember anything.
That was 4 a.m, and I woke up next to you and was like, oh, I fell asleep. I didn't mean to.
That TV takes ages to power off on its own. Because it's been idle it takes like 3-4 hours.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't. Because we went to bed at 4.
No, it happens when I'm gaming though. If you're not touching the TV remote, it thinks it's idle.
I suppose we've been watching that entire thing. And it's like 4 hours from start to finish for the Super Bowl, because obviously the lineup, you know...
I missed a half-time show, so we're going to react to it. I saw Post Malone at the beginning, but that was right at the beginning.
The main thing I wanted to mention was, obviously, OC's new programme for international people to reaching their NFL dream. And a couple of guys got really emotional, like I think Jordan, one of the presenters. It's an incredible thing that the NFL are doing, and obviously he's put loads of money into it. He's been running it. I think he's from Nigeria originally. I couldn't pronounce his surname, so I'm assuming he's Nigerian. Right. But he is doing this like outreach program.
Have you seen the Welsh rugby player that's just gone over there?
No.
To try out for the NFL.
That's really cool.
Professional, like quit his career as a rugby player to go over there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool. But yeah, so really exciting for the NFL.
Well,
really emotional.
We're going to do a bit of military stuff. I've done a couple of songs today. I thought I'd throw in some military stuff. It's a channel called Brothers in Arms. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure your dad watches this channel. Yeah.
Well, you guys talk about that things together, don't you? So
Yeah. I've seen this. We reacted to it over at the Office Blokes absolutely ages ago. And I just thought it's a great video. It's just... it's well worth a watch, and I think you'll appreciate it.
Sweet. I'm up for it.
You're a big fan of the military stuff.
I am.
Yeah.
I like things that go boom.
It's true.
And rough men who stand ready to protect us. And women.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
Can be pretty rough. Let's do it. How the US military smoked Russian mercenaries.
Nice.
Should we go for it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
When the first vehicle in the convoy suddenly blew up, the Russian mercenaries knew something was wrong. Their objective, to capture an oil field in eastern Syria, was supposed to be a routine mission. The enemy, they knew by then, would have fled long ago at the sight of 500 battle-hardened Russian and Syrian fighters. But instead, the attack had come to an abrupt halt, and explosion after explosion shook the ground. It wasn't long before AC-130 gunships, Predator drones, Apache helicopters, and fighter jets were circling over the battlefield, pounding the attackers from every imaginable angle. What the Russian forces didn't know was that the oil field was not defended by any fighters, but by American Special Operations Forces, supported by the most powerful air force in the world. And so, within a few minutes, the routine mission turned into hell on earth and into one of the deadliest engagements for the notorious Russian mercenary group Vagner. To stop the rapid advance...
Vagner? I quite like that name.
The Vagner group is the one that tried to do a coup against Putin last year.
Oh.
And then the leader of the Vagner group was on a plane, and the plane mysteriously blew up and he died.
Oh dear.
But they were marching on Moscow, and then they stopped. And I think there was some sort of acknowledgement or talks or something. And then it was like...
just stopped in its tracks.
But they're rough. And that's the ones I think they bolstered the ranks when they emptied the prisons at the start of the Ukraine conflict.
Oh, wow.
I think they go to the Vagner group, which is just like, rough people.
Yeah.
But this is obviously Americans in a base. And they thought the base was empty. So they've accidentally gone to attack the the American
thinking
military.
that it's all empty and just, minefield, oil fields to just take.
I think about the connotations of that, though. It's literally Russians versus Americans in a battle in modern day history. But because it's mercenaries and because...
It's not classy, it's going to war with them. It's interesting.
There's one I've got to show you where, that technically India and China are at war. And basically on the border of India and China, they have patrols from both of their armies, but they don't have guns, because if one of them fires a bullet, it's going to initiate a conflict between the two countries properly. So they carry sticks, and they actually have massive battles where they beat each other with sticks. People get killed.
I'm not surprised. That's horrendous.
We watched a video on it ages ago, and you're like,
well, when you talk
what?
sticks, are you talking like batons?
Pretty much, yeah. But they just go at it.
Being bludgeoned to death sounds freaking horrific. I'd rather get shot.
But they cut as soon as a bullet's fired, it becomes a legit conflict.
That's crazy.
It's mad, isn't it?
That is crazy.
And so the self-proclaimed Islamic State, the U.S. had deployed troops in Syria since 2014. They supported the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. A year later, Russia also intervened in the fight against ISIS, but on the side of Assad's Syrian government forces. The SDF and the Syrian army were never seen as allies, but in keeping with the saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," both parties at least mostly avoided each other. After years of fighting, both armies managed to drive out the terrorists, and by 2018, ISIS held only a fraction of its original bases. To prevent an unintended conflict between Russian and U.S.-supported armies, a deconfliction line was formed along the Euphrates River, which effectively bisects Syria. In addition, both parties were able to contact each other through special telephone channels that were kept clear at any time. But despite all these precautions, on February 7th, just a few miles from the Euphrates River, the first deadly clash between Russians and Americans since the Cold War occurred. Late in the evening of February 7, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters attacked an SDF military base. The base was located about 5 miles east of the Euphrates River and controlled one of the country's main oil fields. Thus, like most oil fields, the area was officially on the Syrian Democratic side of the ceasefire line, but this did not stop the Syrian-Russian troops in any way. The attackers were supported by various Russian-made battle tanks, as well as mortars, artillery, and rocket launchers, with which they began shelling the SDF base without warning. In addition, Russian Air Force aircraft were on standby to provide air support, but initially remained on the ground. However, while everything was initially going according to plan for the attacking forces, the phone suddenly rang in the Russian headquarters near the Euphrates. A representative of the U.S. military was on the line and wanted to know whether Russian fighters were currently trying to take the military base at the Conoco oil fields. Here, not only the Syrian Democratic Forces were under heavy artillery fire, but also their allies, American Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines, and various support units. After the Russians had explicitly denied the question whether the enemy were their troops, it was clear to the caller. Whoever was currently taking fire at his soldiers, he would feel the full force of the American military in just a few moments. The response to the attack on their military base was prompt and tremendous. Even before the Russian convoy reached its starting position for the attack, the first and last vehicles were taken out in a classic ambush maneuver, trapping the forces in the middle. The missiles came from an American Reaper drone, which had been targeting the convoy for some time. However, to the Russian Vagner mercenaries on the ground, the drone was invisible, and they had a hard time understanding where the fire suddenly came from. It didn't take long for more shells to hit, spreading chaos on the battlefield. American artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers engaged the convoy, inflicting numerous casualties. While the Russian forces were still trying to realize what was happening, 4 Apache helicopters appeared on the horizon. Although the gunships were several miles away, no one could hide from their precise infrared optics. The laser-guided Hellfire missiles found their target in the Russian battle tanks, while the 30mm cannon forced the enemy infantry to withdraw. Few of them were able to escape the explosive shells, and a Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the first few minutes,
Jesus.
Almost half of the entire attack force.
That is literally, you've stepped on our turf.
Yeah.
We've offered you a way out. You've lied. We're about to rain absolute fucking fire down on you.
The Wagner group don't act explicitly on behalf of the Russian military technically.
No,
They're
well, they said
ones who-
Russian-Syrian, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But they're the ones who do a lot of the naughty stuff that doesn't adhere to the rules of war
Right.
and stuff. So they're like beneficial hooligans that they have
Okay.
loosely associated, but they're not part of the Russian military.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You want
have a
people
lot
to-
of it in Africa, that sort of, yeah.
You want people to go and do the naughty stuff and the government to go,
No, I'm not involved,
They're
yeah.
a bunch of rogue mercenaries.
Yeah.
But the fact that they've got that phone line between the Russian and American militaries, and it's like, is that
Hi.
you guys? Is that you guys? Nope.
No?
Nope.
Don't know what
And
you're
it's
talking
like,
about. Okay.
Check. Go.
Yeah, Roger
Absolutely
over.
blow everyone up.
Literally, Roger
It's
over.
crazy, isn't it?
Send out the nukes.
And that base as well, they said, what was it, stocked? But, not stocked, but what's the word?
Kitted? Equipped?
I mean, the guys that are there are like...
Green Berets,
Green Berets. I don't think he said Navy SEALs, did he?
No,
But
he
he
didn't.
said a few of the like elite special
The Rangers
operating
as
units,
well, the
Army
American Rangers, yeah.
It's like you're not just attacking anyone, you're attacking...
Yeah, like extremely well-trained and murderous, like... I know murderous is not a nice word,
murderous
but...
isn't the- I think
no.
get the job done professionals is more...
Professional killers.
just professionals.
Okay.
That's enough.
The reports that are on TV.
Why does that make you uncomfortable? That's the good thing about military, kill the bad guys.
I get that. But just professionals.
Okay.
It sounds more intimidating, really.
Okay. Fair enough.
Less words, the better.
Like 007.
Sub 007, yeah, you're right.
I'm tired, I'm sleeping. Shut up.
About Syria and the 25 people that are wounded there from the Syrian army. And, well, to make it short, we've had our kicked. So one squadron lost 200 people. Right away, another one lost 10 people. And I don't know about the third squadron, but it got torn up pretty badly too. So 3 squadrons took a beating. The Yankees attacked. First, they blasted the out of us by artillery. And then they took 4 helicopters up and pushed us in a merry-go-round with heavy caliber machine guns. They were all shelling the holy out of it, and our guys didn't have anything besides the assault rifles. Nothing at all, not even mentioning shoulder-fired SAMs or anything like that. So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees knew for sure that the Russians were coming, that it was us, Russians. Our guys were coming to commandeer an oil refinery, and the Yankees were holding it. We got our beat rough. My men called me. They're there drinking now. Many have gone missing. It's a total It sucks. Another takedown. While AC...
I have to appreciate every time the guy swears he uses literally a machine gun.
It's like from an Apache or something as well, and it's one of those probably like 1,000 rounds a minute.
Unbelievable.
Everything explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C-130 gunships circled over the battlefield, engaging individual targets. Large B-52 strategic bombers completely destroyed the convoy. Those who managed to escape hid in buildings, but even there they were not safe for long. Late into the night, the attackers were hunted by F-15 fighter jets, whose bombs penetrated even the best cover. The new 5th-generation air superiority fighter F-22 Raptor was also used, but for the soldiers on the ground, it no longer made any difference who was pounding them. The Russian contractors did not stand a chance against the American Air Force. Although there were rumors that some pilots from the nearby Russian air base were asking for permission to take off, the blue-painted Su-34s and 35s remained on the ground. The attackers' casualties were so heavy that in the middle of the battle, one of the Russian commanders called in and asked for a ceasefire, indicating that Russian military was in contact with the attacking fighters after all. A published call from a Vagner mercenary sums up events in Syria. Just had a call with a guy, so they basically formed a convoy, but didn't get to their positions by some 300 meters. One unit moved forward. The convoy remained in place about 300 meters from the others. The others raised the American flag, and their artillery started ours really hard. Then their choppers flew in and started everybody. Ours just running around. Just got a call from a pal, so there are about 215 killed. They simply rolled ours out hard. Made their point. What the ours were hoping for in there? That they'll run away themselves? Hope to scare them away? Lots of people so bad they can't be ID'd. There were no foot soldiers on the American side. They simply our convoy with artillery. When the battle ended early next morning, there was nothing left of the convoy of vehicles. All combat vehicles have been destroyed, with the exception of a single battle tank and armored personnel carrier. Of approximately 500 Russian and Syrian attackers, at least 200 were killed or wounded. One of the mercenaries later reported that in some places they found solidified melted sand and gun barrels bent from the heat. There were no casualties on the American side and no reports of damaged aircraft. Only one of the SDF soldiers in the base at the oil field was wounded by Russian fire, but survived. The incident sparked outrage on both Russian and Syrian sides, but since the Americans had repeatedly reassured themselves through the Russian officials, they could not be blamed. According to intercepted phone calls between the leader of Vagner and Russian ministers, the attack was even said to be an order from Moscow. For Wagner Group fighters, the Battle of Conoco Fields went down in history as Red February and was one of their most humiliating engagements. At least some of them received a medal specially made for this event. It shows a Russian soldier surrounded by flames, heroically shooting at an American Apache helicopter. A scene that probably never took place in this way. The Syrian Democratic Forces and their American allies had successfully defended the base at the oil field and continued to fortify it. The demonstration of their superior air power was meant to be a warning to any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people. Interestingly, when Syrian and Russian fighters gathered in the area again about a month later, the Americans once more contacted the Russian commander in charge. This time, it was not long after the end of the phone call that the entire Russian-Syrian fighting force hastily withdrew. For those who made it this far, thanks for watching. If you want to help us produce more content, feel free to leave a like and tell us what you think of the attack on the US base. Did the Russian military know it was their own mercenaries and deliberately sent them to their deaths? Or is it just another big misunderstanding due to the fog of war? Whatever you think, we're eager to hear your opinion.
That was amazing. Do you know what I love? Like when the military do get an opportunity to go, we may be quiet, we may, stay on the sidelines and stand our ground for the most part and obviously not initiate anything, but we can also then show you how easily we can fucking wipe you out.
The questions there are, did the US military know that they were Russians? I think they probably did.
Yep.
But without explicitly being told, yes, that is Russians. It's like they're just attackers at the end of the day, and we're going to fight them off, whoever they are.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter who you are. You're coming onto that turf and you're coming in that force. 500 strong with artillery and armoured vehicles. You're looking to pick a fight.
Yeah. And
you're asking for it. You haven't rung ahead. You haven't checked. You were there to pick a fight.
Was it commissioned by the Russian government? It probably was. Did the Russian government know that the Americans were there?
Probably not. That's why they withdrew and didn't say a thing. Because they probably...
Well, the next time it's like they were probably thinking about it, weren't they? And then that one phone call. Is that you guys?
Yeah.
Right, I've run out. Don't want to repeat of that.
I know, yeah.
What a crazy story.
Unbelievable story. How embarrassing as well for them. And what an incredible show of force from the Americans. And they followed, like they said, even though the Syrians got upset about it, they were like, well, we followed procedure. Yeah. We contacted them. We spoke to them.
Well, not just that. The Russians they were supposed to be on one side of the Euphrates River, weren't they? And they'd crossed over to the side that was accepted that the Americans were looking after.
Yeah.
So...
they're asking for trouble, especially, like I said, coming in 500 strong with armoured vehicles.
Can you imagine
artillery?
Imagine if they would have caught the Americans off guard. It's a ridiculously unlikely situation where they would have actually attacked that base, and it would have been a
ground battle.
Instead of artillery, it would have been an actual full-blown, guys running at each other, shooting. I still think the Americans would have suffered very little loss. Well, it's hard to say that, but I just think it would have been it would have been huge news. Absolutely everywhere. Yeah, that I agree with. This way is like, they took the piss a bit, we sorted them out, no big deal. Yeah, good story. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Unreal.
So had you not heard of the Vagner group before that?
No, not really.
They were in the news a lot last year, but they're, like I say, the sort of naughty boys that aren't part of the Russian military, but kind of are.
Okay.
You know, they do what they're told, apart from, like I say, they tried to do a coup in Russia last year and then stopped, and then the leader of the Vagner group kind of died in a plane crash, or his plane blew up mid-air. And it's like...
That says it all.
Yeah, it was a hit. Anyway, right. We're done for today. We're absolutely knackered from attempting to watch the Super Bowl last night.
I watched it.
You watched it.
I didn't finish it when I thought it was finished.
Both got finger injuries. Don't ask.
It is, yeah.
Right, anyway.
Gross hands as well. Like, they feel so swollen and so sore.
It's been a good weekend.
Has been a good weekend.
But yeah, cheers for that one, guys, as always. If you want to see more of the military style stuff, it is something that we absolutely love anyway. It's not me forcing you to watch horrific metal videos and stuff like that. It's
I
fun
don't
as well.
mind the metal videos.
I know.
The military stuff always interests me. You and I have had this discussion. Like, I grew up like idolising my dad. I know he doesn't feel that way when he served in the Independence War, but obviously my grandfather flew for the Royal Air Force here in Lancaster Bombers in Second World War. I've got a long line of history. I was married to a military officer. I like military stuff. It fascinates me, and I just think that some of the most incredible people serve our country. And so I do. I enjoy seeing these kind of things. Obviously, I don't want our planet at war. I don't want people at war, but there will always be conflict, no matter what we do or try.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think anyone wants it, really.
No, but that's why I say we always have, like, what I don't know if it's Churchill's quote or someone else's, but we have rough men stand ready to ensure those who are asleep are safe. I can't remember I butchered that completely.
Paraphrased entirely. Sentiments there, though.
Yes.
Right then, yeah, cheers for that one, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, as always, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.